Availability for Mizzou football. First up is defensive coordinator Ryan Walters. Go ahead, get your hands raised, and we'll get started with Coach. First one, Dave Matter. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Ryan, you coach long enough, you're going to go against guys you've worked with in the past, but is this week kind of weird for you, or how you kind of process coaching against Barry?
No, I mean, something I've been asked that a lot just by other people. It's not weird. I think partly because, if he was like the offensive coordinator, I think it'd be a little bit weird.
Yeah.
But, I think Coach Drinks put it best earlier in the week. It's a player's game. They're the ones out there playing. So, I'm trying to get focused on what Arkansas does offensively to try to put us in the best position possible to have success on Saturday.
Mitch 40, Power Mizzou, go ahead.
Ryan, I know a lot of coaches say, you take a little bit from everyone you work with to kind of form your own scheme and identity. How much of this current defense do you feel like is kind of attributable to stuff you learned from Coach Odom?
We've kind of evolved, over the years. I think there's some semblances of what he did at Memphis. Not a whole lot of what we did, when he first got back to Missouri, and then obviously last year, kind of evolved to where we are now. So I think there's definitely things I've learned from him and taken away from him. He's obviously does a great job as a coordinator and as a great coach. And I've definitely learned a lot from him just about how to see the game, how to study the game. And I think we have similar aggressive styles. But as far as like the schematic similarities right now, I don't think there's as many as people would probably perceive or think there would be on the outside. I just think if you look at the structure of how we are and the way we play, and then look at sort of what Arkansas is doing, it is definitely a lot different.
Gabe DeArmond, also Power Mizzou, go ahead.
Yeah, Ryan, do you and Barry, keep in regular touch, and does that change this week at all?
I mean, I haven't talked to him this week, if that's what you're asking. You get busy with the season. Obviously, I worked with Barry for quite some time there, and naturally, I've got a great deal of respect for him and his family, and very appreciative of what he's done for me in my career. I don't take that for granted at all. He gave me my first opportunity to coach in the SEC as a safeties coach, coming back under Pinkle's staff. And then he gave me an opportunity to call plays, man. And I'll never forget that, and I'll always be appreciative of that. So, we have stayed in touch. But like I said, once the season starts, man, it's your time is pretty limited, and so it's hard to have like in-depth conversations. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I have not talked to him this week, and don't plan on talking to him till maybe pregame or after the game.
Colin O'Brien, Jeff City News Tribune, go ahead.
Hey, Coach Walters, you kind of alluded to this a little bit, but Coach Drink was telling us earlier this week that the defense Arkansas is running this year is a little bit more like what you guys did at Memphis than it is what you did here in Missouri. I'm just curious, what do you remember from the year, I guess, you were at Memphis and the defense you ran there, and then what kind of looks you've been trying to give the offense this week in practice to emulate what Arkansas's defense does?
Well, I'm not doing anything in terms of emulating what Arkansas is doing. The offensive staff puts together the scout team defense. And I haven't watched Arkansas on defense at all this year. So, I don't know exactly what they're doing, but, at Memphis, it was a fun defense to be a part of. It was a traditional 3-4, balanced, split safety, single high, a lot of drop eight, bringing pressure. And I've heard that's what he's doing. And obviously he's doing a great job. I mean, they are playing really well on that side of the ball, forcing a bunch of turnovers. And I'm not surprised, man. Like I said, he's a great coach, and he's a huge asset for Coach Pittman in Arkansas. So not shocked at all. I expected him to do damage there for sure.
Jack Sobel from the Maneater, go ahead.
Coach Walters, I know you've talked about Nick Bolton a lot, but what specifically stands out to you about him from a football IQ standpoint, from that angle specifically?
Just straight from a football IQ standpoint, he sees the game very well, and he can take what you do in meetings and walkthroughs and apply it to 11 on 11 and in-game situations like immediately. He doesn't need to mess up to learn. He's a great communicator. He can feel tendencies. You know what I mean? Like if a guard is light in his stance, he understands that probably means he's going to pull. If a back is split out a little bit farther than he usually is, he's probably split out to get out. So I just think him playing ball for so long and being in this system and seeing different scenarios, he has great memory, obviously, because he learns and doesn't make the same mistake twice.
If I could ask a quick follow-up. How has that evolved over the years you've coached him? How's his football IQ kind of improved over those years?
Well, you see those mistakes being limited, and his confidence go up. Like I think early in his career, sometimes he would second guess what he was reading, so he wouldn't get there as quickly. So, where freshman, sophomore year, maybe a 2-yard gain. Well, this year is a TFL just because he is confident with his reads and his preparation and, not hesitant to pull the trigger.
Mitch, 40 power Mizzou.
Ryan, I know, as we mentioned earlier, you and Coach Odom first coached on the same staff at Memphis, and then I understand you had the chance to stay at Memphis when he ended up going to Missouri. What made you choose to follow him to Mizzou?
I wanted to coach in the SEC, be a part of this conference, man. This is big time ball. I had a lot of respect for Gary Pinkel. Playing against him at Colorado, I wanted to learn from him. As Missouri had just come off of the SEC East championship, and I heard a lot of good things about Columbia, and so I thought it was a great opportunity. And the pay was more.
Dave Matter, St. Louis Post-Dispatch, go ahead.
Ryan, you've prepared for Felipe Franks probably when he was at Florida a couple of years ago. How is he different or better now in a different system?
He doesn't turn the ball over as much as he did at Florida. I think they are catering more toward his skill set. He's a big athlete who's got a really strong arm. They make their money on explosive plays, and he extends drives with his legs, and you could tell he's more mature. You know what I mean? I thought at Florida there was some immaturity at times, and he's grown, man. He looks like a grown man on tape. Throws a really good ball, it's no secret why they're having the success they're having offensively. He can get the ball out to his playmakers, and they go make plays for him for sure. And he operates that system really well. Like I said, I think it caters toward his skill set, and it accentuates the things that he's good at. And so he's doing a great job.
Gabe Bierman, go ahead.
Yeah, Ryan, I know this is going back a couple of weeks, but what did you learn about yourself having to watch a football game on TV as opposed to being there?
Man, I learned that I'm nowhere near ready to not coach. You know what I'm saying? I love this game. I love being a part of it. And I'm also a fan. Like I love football. I'm a big football fan. I was a little more poised than I thought I was going to be, and I think that's credit to Coach Gibbs calling a great game and us having some success defensively. I think my wife learned more about me than I learned about myself that day. Just kind of seeing my reaction sometimes.
All right, then what did your wife learn about you that day?
She probably, her and my kids probably think I'm crazy. I'm pretty laid back and even keel off the field, and obviously when I get on the field, it's a lot different. So they got to see Coach Walters and not Dad.
Peter Ball from The Athletic. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, Ryan, with Nick Bolton walking on senior day, I was kind of curious, what was the moment where you first kind of realized, I guess, how special a player you had in him?
The Alabama game his freshman year when Terez Hall got the targeting and he had to go in there. We were not rotating him in a lot at that point of the year just because Terez was such a good player and playing the style of play he was playing. So when Nick had to go in there, he was not shook at all and played really well. I mean, he played just as good, if not better, than Terez was playing. And then there was another moment in the bowl game against Oklahoma State where Terez was tired, had to come out. It was a critical moment right before the end of the game, and we were trying to get a stop to give our offense a chance to try to go score to win it. And he made a big time play, and I think it was assisted a sack with Terry Beckner. So just those moments were never big for him, even at that age. And then his sophomore year, Kel was playing really, really well. He shoot really well. Kel was playing lights out, that first half of the season. But his, Nick's stats were right there with him. And, he kind of got overshadowed a little bit, but, Kel will be the first to tell you, he's like, man, that Nick is probably better than I am. And, you look up and the things that he's doing right now, I don't think I'll ever see the stat line that Kel had those first 4.5 games, but, Nick is special, man. And so, yeah, I'm not at all shocked that he's having the ability to enter the draft as, after his junior season. In fact, if he were talking about staying, I'd probably tell him he's crazy. So that's hats off to him and the work that he's put in. He's been a consummate professional since he's walked in here. Can't speak enough about his character and his work ethic and the way he's conducted himself. What you guys don't see is what he does in the classroom. He's just, he's a pro, and he's a superstar. And if you are that on the field, the chances are more than likely that you're that off the field. And just what you guys see on game days is a culmination of what he does, as a person throughout the week.
Jack Sobel from the Man Eater.
Kind of similar question to what Peter asked. What are some moments from this season where Nick's made a play and you kind of went like, wow, he's really become a great player?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even say wow anymore because it's so common. There'll be times where we'll see a different run play than we saw throughout the week, or a variation of something, and he'll just beat the block and go make the play. And we might have been outnumbered if they'd have fitted up, just if the offense would have fitted up just right. But he just goes and makes the play. So he can get us out of bad situations really easily. I think what I've been most impressed with from him this season that you didn't see a year ago is what he communicates in between series. He can tell you exactly, if there was a play within that series where we didn't fit it up right, or they got a chunk yardage play. He can tell you exactly what happened. What gap it hit in, why it hit there. Somebody got out of gap, who it was. What the blocking scheme was. So he's not out there just reacting or going off of instincts. He's really dissecting what's going on from a schematic standpoint, and that's huge as a coordinator to be able to know exactly what was transpiring the series before, so that you can make corrections on the sideline and continue to improve throughout the game. So he definitely allows us to do that.
Suichi Terada, Kansas City Star, go ahead.
Hey Ryan, just wondering how different is your defense when you have healthy bodies, especially along that D line, but elsewhere, especially in your depth and everything.
Yeah, I mean, when you're healthy, you're at your best. You know what I mean? We were so thin at the defensive line position a couple of weeks ago. You just become thin. Guys get tired and they're looking and there's no backups. You know what I mean? So obviously, if you're running on 50% of your energy level, it's not going to be as good as if you're full go. So just getting everybody back. It also creates more competition during practice, and better. We're able to go at a faster tempo in practice when we're at full strength, and just the morale is also better when you're at full strength, and so everybody's involved, and so it definitely was beneficial to get those guys back last week.
And we'll finish up with Coach Walters with Colin O'Brien. Go ahead, Colin.
Coach, I know there's some guys that haven't made their minds up fully yet one way or the other, but just the group of seniors that's walking before this game Saturday, just what did their buy-in mean to this team this season, those defensive players, especially considering all the craziness that's happened just with COVID?
Yeah, I mean, this is a special group. They've been through a ton, throughout the years. Every year in college ball, at least that I've experienced, for this, I've seen it all. And then the next year happens, and so there's a new challenge, right? And so I think this group's just their resiliency and their ability to adapt has been huge, and there has been complete buy-in from the group that's walking, and they have done everything that we've asked them to do and more. They really genuinely care about each other and this program, and I'm proud to be their coach, and I'm proud to have worked alongside them, and had to, and doing the same with them, going through adversity with them and adapting with them. It has not ever felt like it's a us and them. It's a together deal. And I think the term family kind of gets thrown around loosely, especially in terms of football. But these are relationships that we'll maintain for a lifetime, and I think that should be the definition of family. And so that doesn't get taken lightly. I'll be sad to see him go. This group is special to me personally, and so they will definitely hold a special place in sort of my life and in my soul.
Okay, I'll do it for Coach Walters. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good, how are you? Good. All right, next up, we got special team coordinator Erik Link in the room. Go ahead, get your hands raised. We'll get started with Coach Link. Colin O'Brien, Jeff City.
I was gonna say, come on, Colin. I know you got something for me, man. Come on.
Well, here's where I'll go. Because I know I messed his name up last time I talked about the kickoff unit, just the consistency that Sean Ketting has had for you guys there, kicking off. Just what has that meant to you guys this season from a special teams perspective?
Well, it's huge. I mean, he's 33 of 35, touchbacks, and one of those was my brilliant call to try to, get the ball back against Tennessee, if you remember that. And so we were trying to make a play, and I mean, or else he'd probably be, 34 of 35. But it's huge. I mean, it's huge if you can minimize, especially with the returners in this league, if you can minimize that aspect of it, and the defense knows, they're going to get a 75-yard field. I think that's obviously from a field position standpoint, that's huge. And just the consistency, just very proud of him and what he's done and been able to do. And he's definitely a weapon in that regard.
And then for Arkansas, they have a freshman doing kickoff for them, also a local kid here, Cal Russo. For people that know how to appreciate that sort of thing, is this a good game for special teams appreciators and kickoff specialists?
Yeah, I mean, he's done a good job. I think he's 71% touchbacks. So I know he's done a good job for him, and has shown the ability to hit some different kicks. So that's certainly something we got to prepare for. And I think that'll definitely be a part of the game for sure.
Swing karate, star. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Eli mentioned Grant was maybe kind of fussing on the sideline because he didn't get to go into the game. What was your kind of conversations like with him when the offense was kind of clicking and he didn't get a chance?
Oh, trust me, he wasn't. He wasn't fussing. He was. I think Coach Drake was kind of trying to make light of the situation. That's. I know he, him and our long snapper Jake Hoffman were talking about there at the very end of the game when they called a timeout. I think we had a 3rd and 7. That's where Brady hit Michael Wilson, and I know they were both, man, Coach, we're really tight, and I said, well, I hope you stay tight for a long time. So that was a pretty cool deal. I think I've only been a part of one other game like that, so that was neat.
Jack Stoll from the man. Go ahead.
Coach, on kind of the same topic, Coach Drinkwitz mentioned that if a player is a senior and not walking on senior day, that probably means he's coming back, and Grant McKinnis' name wasn't on the list. So what does it mean to you guys to potentially have him back next year?
Say that one more time. What is what?
So
the first part, I just didn't hear the last.
So what does it mean to potentially have Grant back next year?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. It's, he's a grad transfer, and, obviously we were kind of viewing him as a kind of a 1-year rental, and just to kind of get us through the season. And then, obviously, he's been really solid for us this year. And, and not only obviously as a punter on the field, but, man, he's brought some leadership and some, just the experience, I think, has been tremendous for our guy. He's a great kid. He's a great teammate. He's just an easy guy to be around. And so I think, our team has gravitated towards him too. Certainly our specialists, but I think a lot of guys on our team have really gotten to know him. And he's just got an infectious personality from that standpoint. But so it's huge for him to come back. And, we certainly wanted him to come back. So that was big.
Peter Ball from The Athletic, go ahead.
Yeah, Erik, I was just wondering, did you get a chance on Saturday to talk to Sarah Fuller at all before or after the game? And if so, what did you kind of say to her?
I did not get a chance. I think she had plenty of people that wanted to talk to her, and so I did not get a chance to talk with her. I know I talked to their special teams coordinator for a little bit before the game, and obviously it was a neat deal. It was a national story and a historic deal. And, as a father with a daughter, my almost 3-year-old was here to see it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Back to Colin O'Brien, go ahead.
Peter's question kind of jogged my mind, but we haven't really gotten a chance to talk with Coach Looper at all this year just because of, the setup here. But I know he was on the sideline when Kate Nita, I think say her last name, kicked it. Did he talk with anyone on the Missouri staff about what that experience was like and getting a second chance at seeing something like that in person?
I know he mentioned it, and I think, I don't know if it made much attention in the media or not, to be honest with you, but I think she, and I don't know how to say her last name either, Nita or whatever. I think she actually put something out on social media, basically giving a shout out to Coach Luke about being.
That's where I saw it. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, but he mentioned it. I know he had a lot of good things to say about her when they were at New Mexico. So.
All right, any further questions for Coach Lee? Okay, I'll do it. Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys, thanks.
That doesn't surprise me at all. All right, guys, we'll see you Saturday. So, unless anybody has questions, I didn't think so. So, Peter, what happened to your facial hair?
It was time.
I told Erik Link. I literally told him, I was like, wait, when Peter asks you a question, he's gonna have some facial hair, so don't freak out.
It's tough because whenever I actually go somewhere like the grocery store or something, I have a mask, so I don't have to look presentable. And then when I'm on Zooms is the only time I need to worry about it.
All right, guys. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. I'm gonna go pour a bourbon and go home. So see ya.
Yeah.